Hey everyone, I'm Lauren, the founder of Mizuba Tea Co. In this video, my friends and I are going to teach you everything you need to know about serving Mizuba Matcha at your shop. I'll explain what matcha is, and we'll show you how to fit Mizuba into your workflow. And at the end, we'll hear some pro tips from a real live barista trainer. First of all, what is matcha? Matcha comes from the same plant all tea comes from, the Camellia sinensis. But matcha is a highly specialized tea and receives special care and attention during processing. In order to be considered matcha, the tea must be shade-grown in Japan, made from tencha tea leaves, and stone-milled into a fine green powder. Mizuba's signature matcha is sourced directly from small family farms in Uji, Japan. We've worked with these families for almost a decade, and these long-standing relationships mean everything to us. We buy from the same producers every year, and because they can count on us to buy their tea, our partner farms can continually invest in ensuring their quality is always exceptional. Sourcing our signature matcha was an intentional process of finding a tea that is not only delicious on its own, but can also stand up when added to milk and other ingredients. You know how a really floral espresso will get totally lost in a latte? So will a super delicate matcha. Mizuba's signature matcha is the perfect balance of sweet and creamy with enough backbone to pop through a latte. Okay, are you ready to make some matcha? I'm here at Dune Coffee with my BFFs Carolina, Mal, and Renee. They're gonna help me out for this part. We'll begin with the Mizuba method, which is a recipe based on recommendations from our producer friends in Japan. This is our favorite recipe, and the vast majority of our cafes use it. But later on, we'll also show you a few alternate recipes in case they work better for your cafe. The Mizuba method is simple. You just need 1 level teaspoon of Mizuba matcha, plus about 3 ounces of water at 160 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. The end result? A frothy, smooth, and delicious tea. Let's start by adding a level teaspoon of matcha to your chawan or tea bowl. Next, get your water ready. Again, we're looking for water around 160, 175 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a way to control the temperature of your water, that's okay. All you need to do is fill your kettle or pitcher with hot water and then shock it with a splash of cold water. The cooler your water is, the sweeter your matcha will be. Just try not to go above 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, the tea can tend to overextract and taste slightly bitter. You're going to add water 2 separate times. The first pour will help the matcha bloom and get rid of clumps, and the second addition will make the tea nice and frothy. First up, the bloom. Add a splash of water like this, and gently whisk your matcha to make a paste. This should take 5 to 10 seconds, and you'll know you're done when it looks smooth, like this. Then, add the rest of your water and whisk in an M-shaped motion. Since you've already whisked away the clumps, you don't need to push down hard at all. Rapidly graze the bottom of the bowl and your matcha will start to froth up right away. This part should only take about 15 seconds or so. And that's it! You can treat this matcha concentrate just like a shot of espresso. You can pour milk into it to make latte art, add it to cold water for an iced matcha tea, or pour the matcha over milk and vanilla for an iced vanilla matcha latte. Or add it to ice cream for a matcha affogato, or to lemonade for a matcha lemonade, maybe a matcha mimosa. I'm thirsty. Is it break time yet? No? Okay. We recommend the Mizuba method to every cafe, but we have 2 other methods that might work for you as well, depending on your equipment and workflow. First up, the shaker. This one's easy. We'll use the same ratio as we did earlier, 1 teaspoon of Mizuba matcha and 3 ounces of water. Add to a mason jar or shaker. If the end result will be iced, you can actually use cold water. Or, if it's for a hot drink, use water again up to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Once everything is in your jar, it's time to shake it up. The most important thing to know is that you need to shake really well to get rid of clumps. But you'll still end up with a nice frothy matcha that you can treat just like a shot of espresso. We like the Mizuba method and the shaker method because they're made to order, which means that your customers enjoy the freshest matcha possible and you don't have any waste. But if you're a really high volume cafe, you might consider making a batch of matcha concentrate for the day. You can find the ratio that works best for you, but we'd recommend starting with a 1:35 ratio of matcha to water by weight. That means for every 10 grams of matcha, you'll use about 350 grams of water. You can prepare the concentrate in a shaker, with a chasen, or with a handheld frother. Just make sure to pay extra attention to matcha clumps, as we find they can form much more easily in a larger batch. We recommend storing your concentrate in the fridge when it's not in use. And because matcha is highly sensitive to oxygen and light, you should discard your unused concentrate after 24 hours or at the end of the day. This is part of the reason why we prefer a made-to-order method. It's zero waste. But we have a few cafe clients who implement a batch system really well, and it can be super efficient on bar. We're here to support you with any method you choose, and don't hesitate to reach out to our team if you want to walk through what's best for you. There are just a few more things you should know before starting to serve Mizuba in your cafe. After you've opened your bag of matcha, please store it in the fridge when it's not in use. This will help prevent oxidation and prevent the fresh flavor of the tea from going stale. It's totally fine to keep in a container of matcha out during the day for service, but just make sure to put it back in the fridge for overnight. Finally, keep things clean. I know how hectic barista shifts can be, but clean equipment means tasty matcha. We recommend rinsing the chasen with warm water between each use. We also made a short video about caring for your whisk, which you can find below. Alright, that should set you up to make excellent Mizuba matcha. To wrap up, I'm going to hand it over to Carolina, the head of education here at Dune Coffee, where we've been hanging out and filming this video. She's trained so many wonderful baristas and makes an insanely delicious Mizuba latte herself, so she has a few tips and tricks that are super helpful.
Hey everyone, my name is Carolina and I'm the head of education here at Dune Coffee Roasters. As someone that trains a lot of baristas, I've figured out a couple different tips and tricks when it comes to making the perfect matcha. As a barista, whenever I'm working with matcha, I try to imagine I'm working with espresso. For me, that means I want my matcha to be relatively similar in volume and in texture. A trick I use to remember how to properly whisk my matcha includes whisking in an M formation. M is for Mizuba, and it always yields the creamiest matchas. When mixing my hot water, I try to remind myself that the introduction of cold water actually makes my matcha ever so slightly sweeter. Don't forget to add cold water. As baristas, we love watching our pour-overs bloom. Remember, matcha blooms as well. Let it release those happy flavors. When pouring into matcha, don't be afraid to create latte art. Mizuba allows us to do our best work.
Thank you so much for watching our video. We care so deeply for each of you, and the farmers we work with are incredibly thankful for your support. If you ever have any questions, please reach out. We are stoked to help make your matcha program the best it can be so you can serve Mizuba tea to its highest potential. Until next time, cheers!